biggest legacy pieces of the previous administration. The second argument I hear is that the government and our healthcare professionals are ignoring the impact of natural immunity, and nothing could be further from the truth. Yes, having COVID does give you more immunity over someone who has never had COVID, but there is excellent scientific proof that even if you've had COVID, you should get the vaccine. And as we've already heard today, the majority of those, vast majority, 97, 98% of those who are dealing with COVID or succumbing to COVID have not had the vaccine. It's protective by and large. Now, I thank God that we do live in a free nation, and the decision to get the vaccine is your decision. But please, I urge you, do get the vaccine so that we can end this wave, this pandemic, this perturbation of the great American life that this pandemic has caused, and so that we can all stop debating more government action to help slow its increase. I want to worship in my church. I want to travel far and wide with my family and friends. I want to eat in Waco restaurants. I want to lavish in the liberty that we are so fortunate to enjoy in this nation. And moreover, I want all of you hearing this to be able to do the same. But the simple truth is this: the more of you who choose to get vaccinated, the sooner life will finally return to normal once and for all of us. It truly is that simple. And so to those of you who are unvaccinated at this point, let me ask this of you. Won't you please talk to your doctor about your questions, your hesitancy, your concerns, consider taking the COVID-19 vaccine today. Do it for God, as we've heard from the pastor. Do it for our great country and for the great state of Texas, for McLennan County, and frankly, do it for your friends and neighbors. But please, getting vaccinated is truly the patriotic thing to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Holland, so much. I really can't thank you enough for that perspective and all that you bring to the table. So it's very meaningful that you would join us today. I'm so appreciative. Next, we'll move on to LaShawna Mallory Horn, who is the director of our Waco and McLennan County Public Health District, with some important information that she will be giving at this time.
Thank you, Mayor Meek, and to our healthcare leaders and all of our community panelists. The staff at the Health District have been hard at work continuing to try to monitor the spread of COVID-19. I'm going to share with you all some data on our current infection rates, some information about vaccination clinics, and how you can find out more about COVID-19. In the past 14 days, we've seen a 233% increase in the daily average of COVID-19 cases, and a 280% increase in the average number of people admitted into the hospital with the COVID-19 positive tests. The number of fatalities reported in the month of July were 125% higher than those reported in the month of June. Since April, 34% of deaths are among people aged 30 to 64, compared to 19% last year. We are seeing younger people become infected with COVID-19. Currently, there are 104 people hospitalized in McLennan County with COVID-19 infection, and the number of the hospitalizations among people younger than 20 years old has increased by 300%. The increase of COVID-19 cases in the community can be linked to the highly contagious Delta variant. And our best defense against this variant is to get vaccinated. All three products are highly effective against severe illness and death and hospitalization. All McLennan County community residents are encouraged to get a COVID-19 vaccine. We have vaccines available at the Health District located at 225 West Waco Drive, Monday through Friday from 8 o'clock a.m. to 5 o'clock p.m. Walk-ins are welcome and no appointments are needed. The Health District continues to host vaccine clinics across the community and the county to make sure that every person in the community has access to vaccines. There are 13 different vaccine clinics scheduled for the next week in our community. We have begun to see a slight increase in the number of vaccines administered, but this number is not on pace with the number of COVID-19 infections. As of today, 42% of people in McLennan County over the age of 12 have been fully vaccinated. There are still 68% of us living in the county unvaccinated and at risk for becoming very sick, hospitalized, or even dying from COVID-19. You can find more information about COVID-19 for McLennan County at covidwaco.com, And you can also find information about COVID-19 on social media and on Instagram at the Waco Health District and also on Facebook at the Waco McLennan County Public Health District. Thank you, Mayor Meek.
Thank you, Ms. Mallory Horn. We're so appreciative of you and your entire staff who've worked so hard the last many months and is continuing to do so. So thank you for all that you do for us. Last but not least, we have Dr. Jackson Griggs, who represents Waco Family Medicine, who we're so thankful for providing great sound advice to our whole community throughout the last year and a half. So with that, we'll turn it over to Dr. Griggs at this time.
Thank you, Mayor Meek. And just to reiterate your comments, I'm so grateful to have Ms. Mallory Horn here in our community, and her leadership in the Health District has been just outstanding. I've got a kind of a front row seat to watch her lead as a board member of the Health District, and then just working closely with organizations. And it's just, she's an exceptional leader. We're fortunate to have her. So, thank you, Mayor, in assembling the really rich testimonies of those who have experienced COVID-19 or have important perspectives to hear. I felt that infinitely more compelling than anything I can say. So thank you, particularly to those of you who have already spoken. And that kind of vulnerability is just beautiful and helps all of us to know what we're really contending with. So thank you. I want to share a brief word about the Delta variant. I want to reiterate the value of vaccination, and then I'll just conclude with a word on masking. So to start with the Delta variant, it has mutations in the spike protein that make it, in the words of the World Health Organization, the fastest and fittest variant to date. It has a shorter incubation time, so it doesn't take as long for an individual to go from being exposed to being contagious. And it's way more contagious than the original COVID-19 virus, because the viral load in our bodies, the amount of virus in the blood and respiratory tract, is astoundingly higher than the original strain. One study had it at 1,000 times higher, the viral burden, as compared with the original strain. In fact, someone with the original wild type strain was expected to only infect 1 to 3 other people, but someone with the Delta variant is more likely to infect 4 to 8 people. So this accelerates the speed at which we see exponential spread of the virus within our community. It doesn't take long to get to that steep part of the acceleration curve. It's faster, it's more contagious, but the Delta variant has also been associated with increases in disease severity and hospitalization. A Scottish analysis published in the journal Lancet found that people were about twice as likely to be hospitalized with Delta variant COVID as compared with the previous Alpha or UK variant. So it's faster, it's more dangerous, and as you've heard already today, it's affecting and is going to continue to affect primarily the unvaccinated population. So what's the good news? Why are we not all running for the hills? Well, analysis at both the state level and the national level show that COVID-19 hospitalization and especially deaths are uncommon events among the vaccinated population. When breakthrough cases of COVID happen among those who are vaccinated, people typically have only mild symptoms which last for a very short period of time. And we have data that suggests that those rare vaccinated folks who get COVID are contagious also for a much shorter period of time. So vaccination makes it far less likely to get infected, much less likely to be hospitalized, and it radically reduces fatalities from COVID. And it makes symptoms and the contagious period shorter. So this is all really good news for the vaccinated population. Vaccinations work and remain our key strategy for reaching the end of this pandemic and returning to normal life. If you happen to be on the fence, hopefully some of this information, obviously the stories today will be motivating. Given the characteristics of the Delta variant, for those of you who are unvaccinated, I want you to hear me say clearly as a community physician, as someone who spent my career caring for lives and health of those in our community, I want you to hear me say that the house is on fire. This thing spreads like crazy. Please get out of the house as quickly as possible and get your COVID vaccine. I would like just briefly to reinforce what Dr. Holland mentioned, the mythologies around the vaccine being experimental or not tested in animals, et cetera. It's just not true. Animal testing did occur, multiple phases of trials, including large phase 3 trials, all occurred before FDA emergency use agreements took place. I have a 16-year-old daughter and a 12-year-old son who are the absolute most precious things in the world to me. There aren't words. I would never, ever do anything that put their health at risk. And I was insistent that they get vaccinated. So finally, just a quick comment around masking. Given the rabid nature of the Delta variant, guidance to mask in public, indoor settings, even among those who are vaccinated, it's not misguided. I have resumed my masking when I go to HEB and other places that are congested with a lot of people. I think it's wise. But given my vaccine, I'm certainly not living in fear. With the vaccine, we're not where we were in the spring and summer of 2020. I'm not locked in my home and avoiding contact with others. But I am being prudent about my mask wearing when I'm in enclosed spaces with lots of other people. Saying that, if you're older, have multiple chronic conditions, don't have a strong immune system, even if you're vaccinated, I like what one researcher called the belt and suspenders approach. Use the belt and suspenders approach for a while. Multiple tools to reduce the risk of acquiring the Delta variant. Wear a mask, specifically around, and especially around those who might not have their vaccine. Stay physically distanced. Only spend time with people in well-ventilated spaces, and avoid prolonged periods of time indoors, particularly where there are crowds. So that's all I have. I think right now is a really pivotal time for our community. I think that we're all, you've heard just a strong agreement across multiple areas today. Please get vaccinated. And thank you again to Mayor, colleagues, and the team here. It's been so important in the pandemic. I appreciate your shared leadership.
Thank you, Dr. Griggs. And that is going to bring our press conference to conclusion. Waco is and will continue to be a resilient city with an incredibly bright future, if for no other reason than our own community members. We're a city whose character is rooted in loving our neighbors, and I know that as we go forward, we're going to continue this. And in all things, we'll bear this in mind. My hope is that this powerful testimony from so many people in our community today, from medical professionals who've devoted their lives to understanding medicine and healthcare, to community leaders, to survivors themselves. My hope is that these fellow community members on this call have provided excellent information that people can think on, ponder, and learn from. I want to thank our participants, specifically and the city staff, for their very valuable time in preparing the distribution of this message today. Hearing from each of you was meaningful, and you brought very powerful perspectives. I want to thank our hospitals and also Charles Williams, the CEO of Baylor Scott & White Hillcrest, and Philip Patterson, the CEO of Ascension Providence, as well as our panelists, Dr. Haskett and Dr. Ahmad. Thank you so much for your time and energy to transparently communicate with our community on what is happening in your hospitals. We're thankful for you. I want to thank Brother Danny. He might not live in Waco, but I failed to mention he's got a Baylor degree on his wall, and he comes down here as often as he can to catch a Baylor game. So he's at least partially a Wacoan, as well as Ms. Hicks, Ms. Lozano, and Dr. Holland. These community members, community leaders, thank you so much for this valuable and meaningful perspective that you were able to share to the folks here. Dr. Griggs, thank you for your voice on these issues. Our public health district, Ms. Mallory Horn, Ms. Alvey, Ms. Shaw, and Ms. Crane. Thank you guys so much for all you do for us every day. The rest of the public health team, and then our city staff, Bradley, Deidre, Esmeralda, Jennifer on legal. There's so many things going on still regarding COVID and in our city. And I want to just thank all the leaders on this call who've worked on this call, but also those behind the scenes who have worked hard. And we'll continue to do so to serve our community. And that's why we're here. We're here to serve you. We look forward to continuing to do that in the days ahead. So thanks so much for everyone. We've got a bright future, and I think that you've been given some really powerful information for us to move forward with. So thank you for your time today.
Diced celery, diced onions, cube butter, heavy cream, a raw potato, salt and pepper mixture, shredded cheese, and chicken base. All right, first what we want to do is we want to start by peeling the potato. You want to make sure that you remove any bad spots in the potato. And begin to dice the potato. You want them to be small bite-sized pieces so that they'll be easy to chew, but they'll also cook very quickly. All right, after dicing the potatoes, what we want to do is put them in a pan of water. Rinse them off. Use an ice to keep from any of the potatoes spilling out. Now you want just enough water to cover the potatoes. Put those on the fire. You will want to add the chicken base, having it cook with the potatoes. That way to infuse the flavor of the chicken base with the potatoes. I'll move this to this one here. In this pan, you'll want to put the onions with a little bit of chopped garlic in it, celery, and a couple of cubes of butter. What we want to do at this point is saute up the celery and onions so that they become nice and soft, and melt the butter into it. Now I've got my onions and celery where I like them. I add the flour in to create a roux. Turn off the heat and remove it and let it sit for a little bit. Now that the potatoes are soft, we will add in our mixture. What we want it to do here now is to become pretty thick, so you want to leave it at a high heat so that it boils and it activates the roux properly. Nice boil. Water has thickened up. We're going to add our cream in. Turn off the heat. Let it rest for just a little bit. Take the soup, put it in your container. A little salt and pepper mixture for taste. And sprinkle a little cheese on top. And there is my potato soup.
Located at 708 Austin Avenue. Our hours are Monday through Thursday, 9 to 6, Friday, 9 to 7, and Saturday, 9 to 6. Come on in and I'll give you a tour around. When you first come in, you'll check in at the reception desk, and the girls will give you your paperwork to fill out, and you can shop around in our little clothing store while you wait. We started this store in 2008. This is our second location. We have another one located at the Shops at River Square Center down on Franklin Avenue. This is our salon. We have 6 stylists that work here Monday through Saturday. We do wedding hair, colors, perms,